ready.
Welcome to another episode of Buff in the Rough. Have you ever wondered what it's like to rabbit hunt in Iowa if a beagle will run a coyote? Or have you ever wanted to know more about Old Derty Beagle? If so, today is for you. We'll hear from Ryan Elson about these topics and a lot more. Help me welcome Ryan to the program. Well, hey Ryan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Well, I'm so happy to have you on. I'm looking forward to learning more about you and your hounds and what you've been up to. But before I start firing off questions at you, could you maybe just share with us a little bit about yourself and how you got into rabbit hunting?
Yeah. So I grew up in northeast Iowa, a little town called Jessup, not very big. And then I moved down to Des Moines after I got my nursing license. I had a dog that I got when I was like 24, and we just hunted. This is big pheasant country around here. Mm-hmm. And so I had a lab mix, and we'd go try and chase birds. But pheasant population really dropped off in the early 2000s. And so we had, especially in central Iowa, so when I moved down here, we really couldn't find many birds. So we just ended up going, and she'd bump a rabbit. So we mostly just did rabbit hunting. When she got older and couldn't really hunt anymore, I decided I wanted a rabbit dog. So I got online and I looked up a whole bunch of different stuff and was trying to find a good place to get a starter dog, and I ended up getting a starter dog from David Ring in Mississippi from Beagles on Fire. That's Murphy. He's my oldest. Mm-hmm. And then it just kind of all snowballed from there.
Now, how long ago was that? I mean, how many years ago did you start with beagles?
That was in 2017 when I got Murph.
Okay. Who's been the biggest influence on you right now? I mean, up to this point, who's your go-to person? The person you've learned the most from?
That's a good question. There's a handful of guys. Really, I always kind of do my own thing, but I don't do anything the normal way ever. But yeah, so when I got back with Murph, and he was my only dog, and I got on some local Facebook groups, and Steve Thomas up in Waterloo, right up by where I grew up, he got a hold of me, and I went and hunted with a couple of his dogs, and Murphy fit in pretty good there, and I hunted with Steve a lot right at first, and then a couple years later, like Ellsworth Cook got a hold of me and invited me to come to a UKC field trial. And I came down, and I was like, he's not a field trial dog or anything. But he did really well that first hunt. And so then we got addicted to that. So I met a bunch of guys through the Iowa UKC scene. Mm-hmm. And Jason Unzicker is a real good friend of mine now. We hunt with Jason a lot. And, so really Jason and Ellsworth and Steve are three of the guys that I really learned from.
Well, that sounds like a pretty good crew right there. Well, for folks that maybe aren't familiar with Iowa, could you describe what the hunting conditions are like there and what kind of dog you need to be successful there?
So Iowa is, it's mostly farm ground. There's not a lot of big tracks in Iowa. And what is available, it's also very much deer country. So most of your private ground is on deer leases. It's really hard to get on privately managed land. So you're going to be on mostly public unless you got your own property. And a lot of that's managed more for either pheasant or deer. There's nothing that's really specifically managed for rabbits. So you end up hunting, like that CRP type stuff alongside woodlands. Mm-hmm. A lot of stuff is leased out too for crops inside that, for food plots and things inside the state managed land. So you'll have cornfields and soybean fields in the middle, all of that. So you'll get a lot of corn and soybean races early in the season. And then as the crops come down, some of it will get left standing for food plots, but then you'll end up more just in those timber draws and things like that. Of course, it changes in the different parts of the state. Southern Iowa is going to be different, but I mostly hunt central, and we get a lot of that big. We got a big Army Corps tract that's 10 to 15,000 acres that I like to hunt. So that's one of the bigger tracts in the state that we stick to a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, what kind of dog do you need there to hunt? And it sounds like a lot of cornfields, soybeans, and so what do you need out of your dog to be successful?
You want one that can roll. You really got to have one that's got some foot, because once those rabbits get out in the open woods or in those open fields, they can move a lot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like a little bit of a taller dog. Although my two younger ones aren't the biggest, but they're 14-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep up okay. But you just want something that can roll, get up and go when it needs to.
Well, I want to give you a choice. So this coming weekend, you have a choice of going just gun hunting with your buddies, or you could go to a competition hunt. Which one are you going to go to?
Gun hunting.
Yeah, all right, I hear you. And why? I mean, why would you choose gun hunting over competition hunting?
That's kind of what I do. You go to a competition, you only get to handle one dog. You drive all day. You drive all day back. And you really only get to run the one dog. And I like to get all my dogs out as much as I can and give them all a chance to work and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Well,
Plus, it's more pure. You know what I mean? It's just it's what they're for. Competition's fun, but I'm more of a gun hunter than anything.
I love it. That's a great answer. So tell us about your favorite hounds. I'm going to kind of make this kind of a two-part question and answer. But tell us about maybe one of your favorite hounds from the past that maybe isn't around any longer, and maybe that current hound that you have that's your go-to dog right now.
Oh, yeah. My pack's pretty evenly matched. I don't have a ton of really huge standout. They're really all pretty good. They all have their ups and downs. But yeah, the one that we lost here in April still stings quite a bit. Randy. Yeah, he was a good boy. He was. I've only had one litter of puppies out of Murphy and Lou. Lou I got out of Steve Thomas when Murphy was about a year and a half or so, and they did so well together. I ended up breeding them, and I had a litter, and I had I'll give you their call names, just Odie, Randy, Tricks, and Deeds are the four I kept out of that litter, 2 boys and 2 girls. And boy, Randy was he was something. He could run. He was fast, and he'd stop on a dime. He was just a good boy. But unfortunately, he passed away. He had a real bad seat. He had a little dystocia. It happened. That was Lou's first litter, and she just wasn't pushing, and he was the first one born. And after a couple hours of not getting him out, you could see his little head. We ended up going and getting some oxytocin and got him out. He wasn't breathing real great. We rubbed his belly, fired on up, grew up to be a pretty healthy pup. But I think after a couple of years, a Knox injury from that kind of started to show up, and he'd have a seizure every now and again, and they just gradually got worse.
Uh-huh.
And we had him on Capra there when they started to get bad enough, and it was really well managed. He didn't really have too many seizures, but he had a breakthrough seizure, and just none of the rescue meds worked, and he passed. So.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. It's difficult to lose one, especially one that's one of your best ones, one of your favorites, for sure.
Yeah. He made it to the class. He qualified for the class, I think, twice. And, he was always out front, He's just... And he'd take a track. That was the biggest thing about Randy. He was the most confident hound you ever seen. He'd grab onto that scent, and he'd just roll out with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he was right 9 times out of 10. Sometimes he'd roll out a little too confident, but... But yeah, he grabbed that check, and you knew he got the check. You know what I mean? Or if he jumped the rabbit, you knew he jumped the rabbit. There was no question in his mind when he grabbed it.
So Randy may be your best hound from past. That's no longer with you, and you said your other hounds were pretty even. But
yeah, I mean, they're pretty even. Odie is Randy's litter mate. He's been the one that was kind of doing real good last year. I was trying to give all my dogs a chance, and I'd run one in the morning or one in the afternoon when I'd go to field trials and stuff like that. It's really hard to gauge, so I kind of started to focus on one dog that was really hitting at the time, and then we'd go for a while, and then once they'd earned their title, then I might go work on another one. So Odie is the one that we worked on a lot. Grand Hunting Beagle Champion, Old Derty Beagle is his full name, and he was actually my first champion out of that litter. And then he got kind of sick one summer, got into something he shouldn't have, and it kind of set him back a little. So then Randy started winning, and then we ran Randy just every time until Randy got his grand, and then went back to Odie. And he had a real hot streak last year. And but he's a different style than Randy. It's weird how they're the same bloodlines and everything, but Odie's more consistent. He doesn't run quite as fast. He's not always in front, but he's never too far behind. He's maybe a step behind. But he'll get the corners, and he'll get the jumps. He's a real good jump dog. It's hard to fool Odie. You know what I mean?
Well, didn't he win maybe last year the Summer Slam?
Yes, he did. He had a real hot streak last year in the Summer Slam. He won, I think, 3 out of the 4 casts. And he won the Summer Slam. It was a warmer one that day, so scent conditions weren't, the greatest. And he's got a big nose.
Mm-hmm.
You get that from his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Murphy's got a big nose too.
Now, is Murphy still around?
Oh yeah, Murphy's still around.
Okay.
He's a spoiled little princess.
Well, those sound like some really fine hounds. Tell me about hounds that you've hunted against that you thought were really good. I mean, it sounds like you've hunted at some. You went through the Clash and certainly through the Slam, and I'm sure there's some other big hunts you've been to and local hunts and whatnot. So you've seen some good dogs. I'm sure you have. Tell us about maybe some of the ones that caught your eye.
Oh, I got Jason Unziker's Copper. He was always, man, he's tough to beat. Copper is just tough to beat. Him and Randy had a summer a couple of years ago where they were just back and forth. They were about 50-50 when they'd go head-to-head. And I think Copper finally pulled out. Copper was Iowa Hound of the Year a couple of years, and I think Randy was runner-up right behind him both those 2 years. And
wow.
So I actually have a pup out of Copper now.
Oh.
You can't beat them, join them.
That's exactly right.
So I got Rocky Run Pump Up the Jam. She's about 14 months, something like that right now. She's an up and comer. She's quick. Yeah.
So she's off to a pretty good start.
Oh yeah, she keeps up just fine. Mm-hmm. She's not quite up there with Deeds yet, my other female. Deeds is a lot like Randy. Mm-hmm. She's one of the females that we're working on out of that litter still, and she kind of got set on the back burner after Randy and Odie because they were doing so well. But she needs a couple more wins to make grand, and so we're kind of focusing on Deeds now. And yeah.
Ryan, as you're getting ready to go to one of these hunts, is there anything that you do to get your dog prepared? I mean, some people they don't do anything. They just hunt them like they normally do. And some people are very regimented and have this formula that they use, and it's very complex. But what do you do to get your dog ready?
It really depends on the dog. I'm a very individualistic. I work with every dog on and kind of what they need to work on. You know what I mean? So with like Deeds and Randy, they kind of run the same style. I'm going to take them out more on their own, get them into smaller groups of solo time, and let them really kind of have to hang on to the track themselves without any help. You know what I mean? With those ones. Now maybe with Odie, I might just put him with somebody who's going to push him a little harder and just get him tracks, make sure he's run up good and hard so he's not dragging. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it just kind of varies.
Do you ever think that maybe our dogs are getting too independent?
Sometimes. I think some of that pack mentality, especially in field trials, I hate to minus a dog for leaving a track to go run with the pack. You know what I mean? They're pack hands. I expect that, and I know I cost myself points that way. But when I'm out hunting with mine, if I get 2 different tracks going, I'm not trying to keep track of 2 different races with 4 dogs in either race when I'm running the big pack or anything like that. So whichever track sounds hotter, I'm pulling the other dogs over to run with the other pack. You know what I mean? But that's just how I hunt. I don't want to have to keep track of all of that. And that's kind of, I feel like that's how they're supposed to go. So yeah, I think of that independence with a pack hound is kind of a little detrimental to what you're actually trying to do.
Well, as you've been out there and you've hunted across the country, who's one of the best judges you've hunted with, and why?
Oh, I don't know. That's a tough question. I really haven't traveled all that much. I went to the World Hunt. I get down to Missouri every now and again. I've been out to the Clash once or so. Yeah, but so I don't know that I have like a judge. I think the UKC rules are such that as long as you're following the rule book and it really doesn't matter who the judge is. That it's mostly just on paper. You know what I mean?
I think a lot of times people focus on the negative too much, and we remember those stingers that we get when we're out there in the hunts. But I want to flip that question and ask you, what's one of the nicest things anybody's ever done for you while you've been out hunting?
Oh, it was a world qualifier, and Odie got a seed or something up his nose, and he was just sneezing and sneezing and sneezing and sneezing blood and everything. And oh man, now I'm not going to remember his name. He was running one of Roderick Mosley's dogs for him though, and he really helped me get that seed out of his nose. You know, like we flushed it. We went back to the truck and we took a little time out and did all that to get him flushed out and got him all back on the ground and everything. And yeah, he ended up, well, that was one of those things too where nobody really had to do anything, because it started out the other dogs took off their deer within the first 5 minutes, and Odie was the only one to pass. So he was the only dog left in the pass. So nobody really had to do anything. But you know, when he started sneezing and everything, we called timeout and handed the dog and went back and got him back on. He just really was helpful getting that done, and then we put him back on the ground, and he put some points on the board and qualified for Worlds. And
nice. Well, that's
and then he went on there and made it to the quarterfinals. So
that's a pretty nice deal. That does sound like that's a good Samaritan for sure. As you dabble in this competition world, I think it's natural to form rivalries, and some of them are friendly, they're just with your buddies, and some of them maybe have a little more edge to them. Is there anybody out there that you'd like to beat just a little bit more than anybody else?
I don't know. Like when I was running against Copper, I always liked to beat Copper. You know, not so much just Jason in specifically, but me and Jason are good friends. He's run Odie for me a couple of times. I think he got a cast win on Odie for me. But I like to beat Copper. Lately, we've been running against Chandler Reed. He's the local guy here, and he's got Old Derty Beagles, and he's got a dog, Smoke, and him and Odie were neck and neck for Hound of the Year this year, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually ended up tied for cast wins, so it went to the points. And Smoke's a young dog. I think he's only 2.5 now. But Smoke won Hound of the Year over Odie this year.
Wow.
And so I do enjoy beating Smoke. It don't happen too often. But I think we've beat him a couple times. And, yeah. So right now I think that's probably the biggest one is when we run against Smoke. But, like I said earlier, don't beat him, join them. So I've hopefully it took, but I got my other girl out of that litter, Trixie, that I took down to, and we tried to breed her to Smoke. So I hope that took, and we'll find out in a couple of weeks. It's too soon to tell.
Well, I think it's a great compliment that when you run up against people like that you really respect their hounds. That like Copper and Smoke, that you want some of that in your kennel if it works out and it makes sense. I think that's a big compliment to those guys.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if they're doing what they're supposed to do, and I like the way they run with my dogs, then yeah, I got to get my breeding program figured out because these other ones I've got are getting older. So.
Yeah, they do. They get old fast. They'll get old on you before you turn around. But so let me ask you a little different kind of question. Tell us something about yourself that most people don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I'm a pretty open book. I usually tell you whatever I think at the time. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I can tell you one I didn't know about you off the bat. You said you went to school for nursing. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah. I'm a registered nurse, and I've been for 20 years, so I work at the hospital on the float team, and that gives me a lot of time to run dogs because I work those long 12-hour shifts, but I also got 4 days a week off. So,
what's some of the craziest stuff you've ever seen in working in a hospital?
Oh, nurses, we see everything. It gets to where it's all the same. Things that would surprise most people don't even glaze off you. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I had some nursing friends that always told me that it is absolutely true that it gets really crazy during the full moon.
It does.
That's a real thing.
Yeah, it does. It gets crazy during a full moon. I don't know what the science is behind that, but you don't want to work overnights on a full moon, and I don't know. But it is something.
Well, Ryan, let me ask you, if you could change or add or subtract to any existing rule right now, is there any one that you'd want to work on?
Boy, the first thing that comes to mind is I'd really like to see training collars allowed in UKC, just for the dog's safety. We've had issues in casts before where, especially you get dogs someplace that they've never been before, and they don't always run the same as they do when I take my own pack out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, for instance, we had one that just got up right on the property line and ran through somebody close to somebody's house, and they come out not happy at all and cussing us out and threatening to shoot dogs and everything else, and we're just trying to round them up as quick as we can. They didn't even get really very far off the property, but it'd be really nice to be able to have those on hand and just be able to get the dogs back a little bit quicker, a little bit cleaner if that happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a very popular answer to that question. I have to believe that that'll change relatively soon. It just makes a lot of sense. If for no other reason, the safety aspect. I'm with you on that one.
Well, and we've had dogs killed, not here, but in UKC, there have been dogs that have gotten hit on the road during competition and stuff. And that's just, to me, it's a no-brainer. I think we had one too. That was another one. We were down in a cast when the Derby clubs were around in Iowa, and we went to a spot, and that rabbit just took clean 400 yards through a soybean field, got right along Highway 65, major trucking route. They're right in the ditch, and there's 18-wheelers flying by doing 60 miles an hour just 10 feet to the left of them. And boy, I've been so scared for my dog in my life.
I understand why. That would be terrifying.
But, luckily we got them all back, and nobody got hurt. But
that's good to hear. Well, do you have a favorite part of the country that you like to hunt in?
Right here in Iowa.
Okay.
I was born and raised. I'm weird. I don't even like to travel outside of the state. The road signs change. You know what I mean? It's just it don't feel the same. So I stick to Iowa. Growing up in Northeast Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin were only about 45 minutes from where I grew up, so we get over there. But I'm an upper Midwest. Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin. I stick around here for the most part.
Well, let's go into the future and say maybe 15, 20 years from now, we're sitting on your front porch and we're talking about all of our adventures in the past. Tell me a good memory right now that you have. A good hunting memory.
Oh, there's a lot of them. You know what I mean? We've had everything. You know what I mean?
Well, you can certainly share more than one.
Better at this one. My buddy Kevin, he's out in Kentucky. He writes these things down. We had a good one last year, here towards the end of the season. It might have been the last day of the season, actually, in 25, 26. And I had the whole pack out, and they ran it around in front of me, and Tess was just a little bit to my right, my wife, and she was hunting with me, and she took a shot at it, and after she shot and I saw it and it was still going, I took a shot, but it was a pot shot. It was way too far away for me, and especially with that little 410. And then the dogs made it about another 30 yards from where she took the shot at it and just dead stopped, you know what I mean? And we got up to where they were, and they were digging at this tree, and it was hollow, We stood around that tree for 10 minutes trying to look in it and everything. You could see up it, and I couldn't find the rabbit in there for nothing, but the dogs weren't leaving it be, you know what I mean? And Randy's chewing on it like it's going out of style and everything else, and I'm like, I don't know where the heck this rabbit just up and disappeared to, but I didn't want to leave him. I hate leaving a rabbit wounded, you know what I mean, just to suffer. Right. So I was getting ready to just give up and walk away, and then I saw it. There was another little branch that stuck up to the left on the thing, and there was just a little knot in the tree, and I saw this little rabbit's eye looking at me right through that knot, and he just gone up that little branch. He didn't even think it was big enough to be hollow for him to squeeze up there, but he was up just in that little branch. So I was able to break that out and get him out of there and put the poor guy out of his misery.
Wow.
It was just amazing to me. Those dogs were not going to let us give up on that. They knew right where he was.
They know. They certainly do. That may qualify, because I was going to follow that with tell me a crazy story, one of the craziest things you've ever seen while you've been out hunting.
Oh, yeah. That's fun. Well, I'll tell you, maybe not me personally, but the cast at our state hunt this year, here's another good one. Tess was handling beads, and they were on the rabbit. The rabbit ran in front of them, and it ran into kind of a thicket alongside of a ravine, and beads went in where the rabbit did. And the next thing they knew, coyote ran out across there.
Oh.
And then beads came out the back end, right on its ass, just burning it up, chasing that coyote. So, of course, she got scratched for all game right away, but everybody was real impressed with Dee Dee. This little 22-pound beagle. Jacob says it was the biggest coyote he's ever seen.
Hey, if you're going to run it, run it. Don't play around. Just get after it. Be committed.
Oh, Dee Dee's got a whole nother level on her. She ain't, she's, 22 pounds going on 2,000. She thinks she's a grizzly bear.
Well, if I'm going to Vegas to put money on a dog to win the World Hunt this year, who should I bet on?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. That is a real good question. I might put money on one of Joe Merritt's dogs.
Okay.
That's probably who the safe money is.
He always has good dogs.
He does.
He does. Yeah, he did. He's always packing something good. That's a good safe bet. I mean, that really is. I like that. When you go to a competition hunt, when you go, do you expect to win?
I do. I do. I know my dogs pretty well. They've got everybody. They're as good as anything out there, as far as I'm concerned. Some days the conditions might not be in their favor, and any dog can win in any different day. You know, I mean, every dog's got their strengths and weaknesses. So, yeah, I kind of do.
I like it. I like the confidence, and the man knows his dogs and knows what they're capable of. I love it. If you looked into the future, what do you think maybe the biggest challenge is going to be for future hunters?
I think the biggest issue we're going to have is land availability, honestly. I think everything's kind of shrinking. We already run into that a lot with the deer leases and everything. You know, just being able to hunt small game on private land is practically impossible in Iowa anymore because of all the deer leases. Everything that's private is on a deer lease, and they don't want anybody running dogs on it. Most of them think it'll run the deer off for the rest of the life, you know, the land. So, and then you got everything's moving out. Cities are growing. Gets closer and closer to what is available publicly, and that makes it harder to do things too. So,
I think
that's probably our biggest hurdle.
Yeah, I think that's a really popular one. I get that one a lot. I really do. And so, if there's a youngster out there listening right now, and you could give them advice, what kind of advice would you give to someone that's considering getting into rabbit hunting?
I think the biggest thing is just making sure they're giving the time to the dog and getting it out. I think that goes with any hunting dog. And I was guilty of it with my first hunting dog too. You know, you can only get out of a dog what you put into it. Doesn't matter how well bred it is. You know, you got to get the dogs out and give them a chance to work and do what they need to do to get better. And so if anybody's just getting started, just take them. You know what I mean? Take them as much as you can. Doesn't matter if they're doing good or they're doing bad or nothing. They'll get better. You know what I mean? Everybody got to start somewhere. Nobody ever starts good at something. And give the dogs time. That's my biggest beef with, I think, a lot of people is they're so ready to give up on a hound. You know, you don't even know what you got till they're 3. I'll stand by that.
Yeah, it's hard to be patient.
Yep.
Very difficult to be patient, especially in today's world. We like everything instantaneously. We want it right now. Well, why do you keep doing this? I mean, what is it about rabbit hunting that makes you just keep going back and jumping in the briars?
The dogs. I mean, as soon as I got Murphy back from Mississippi, and we took him out and put him on a rabbit, and you know, just the smile on that dog's face. You know what I mean? You never seen anything happier than a beagle running a bunny, and so. You know, I took these dogs on. I feel like they're my responsibility, and I own them something, and they want to go run the rabbits. So I'm going to give them every opportunity, especially after, you know, losing Randy so young. They're only here for so long. So I want to make sure, you know, they'll get that chance to do what they were meant to do.
Ron, I've enjoyed talking to you and learning more about you. Is there anything that I didn't ask you about that I should have, or is there anything that anything else you want to cover or promote?
We are having our Summer Slam here this weekend on Saturday, 5:30 in the morning up at the Jester Park Equestrian Center. And it looks like we're going to have some decent weather. I looked at the weather this morning, and it says 65 degrees in the morning, and I think the high is only 78 on Saturday. But we'll have a 5:30 and an 8 a.m. deadline, so we should be done and over with before the heat hits both days. If you can even call that heat, but it's Iowa, so it's still going to be humid, so it's going to feel a few degrees warmer than whatever the thermometer says. But yeah, we hope to get everybody out there and get a chance. I got these really neat little championship belts down here in my kennel for the winter this year. This year's is a green one, and yeah.
Well, if people want to find out more about the hunt this coming weekend, where would they go to? What's the name of the club, or do you have a Facebook website or something like that?
Yeah, Mid Iowa Beagles. Beaglers is our club name, so we always post all the events on there. We're one of the two clubs that's active in Iowa right now is Mid-Iowa Beaglers and Southeast Iowa Beaglers. So there's not a ton of opportunities to compete in Iowa right now, but this is one of them. We've pretty much got down to where we only have two weekend events at our club because it's just so hard to host an event with deer season so long. I mean, it starts the second or third week of September and with new season, and then it rolls right through to the end of January with doe seasons and things like that. So it's really hard to find a spot that doesn't have people set up, and we don't want to run all over somebody still hunting and cause an issue. So we try to avoid it if there's somebody already there. So it's just easier to try and do it in March, and then we've got a nesting season for 4 months where you can't host field trials on public ground from March 15th to July 15th. So we do the state hunt that first weekend in March, and then we do the Summer Slam here about the last weekend in July or first weekend in August. And yeah, down in Southeast Iowa, they can get away with a little more because it's a little less populated, but half the state's population lives within 30 minutes of where we run in Des Moines. So
wow, that's a good little fact. That's interesting. Yep. That's a nugget. Well, Ryan, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story, talking about your hounds, what you've been up to, and sharing a little bit about where you live and what it's like to hunt there. I sure do appreciate your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was nice to talk to you.
Thank you for listening to Buff in the Rough. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to be notified when new content is available. And please send comments and suggestions to buffintherough@gmail.com.